It happened on a day the city didn't deserve, because the city had forgotten its legends. People forgot the names carved into history. They forgot the protectors who once sacrificed everything. They forgot, because it was easier to live without fear, until the darkness returned. The city was called Lumenfall, built with glass towers and bright streets, the kind of place where people believed technology made them safe. But on that day, the sky turned strange. Not dark, not cloudy, strange, like the sunlight didn't know where to land. Screens across the city flickered, showing random symbols that no system recognized. The power grid dropped for 3 seconds, and in those 3 seconds, every person felt it. A pressure behind the eyes, a cold thought that didn't belong to them, a whisper that said, "You are not alone." Then the power came back. Everyone pretended nothing happened, because humans always pretend, until pretending becomes impossible. That night, the first body was found. No wounds, no blood, just a face frozen in horror and black dust around the mouth. The news called it a chemical accident. But the old people in the city, those who still believed in stories, called it something else. They called it the returning. Because centuries ago, long before the city was steel and light, this land was guarded by legends. Warriors, mags, hunters, not superheroes, not gods, just humans who became more than human through sacrifice. They vanished after sealing an ancient darkness beneath the earth. And the deal was simple: the darkness stays buried. The legends sleep. But if the seal breaks, the legends awaken. No one remembered that deal. Until the seal broke. It began subtly. Shadows moved the wrong way. People saw reflections that didn't match their movements. Streetlights turned off as someone walked under them, then turned on again after they passed. Children started drawing the same thing in school: a tall figure made of smoke, standing over the city, with no face, only a mouth. And the mouth was smiling. The government denied everything, until the underground trains stopped running. A full train vanished between 2 stations. Hundreds of people. Gone. No explosion. No crash. Just gone. Like they fell out of reality. That's when the city finally panicked. And when the city panics, it searches for answers in the last place it avoided: old history. An archivist named Mara opened the city's oldest vault beneath the central library. A place built before electricity, before steel. Inside was a stone door covered in ancient carvings. And in the center, a symbol, a sun split in half by shadow. Mara touched it, and the door opened. Inside was a chamber with 6 statues standing in a circle. 6 legends, each holding a weapon carved with runes. Their faces weren't proud. They were tired, like they already knew the cost. On the floor was a sentence carved deep: "When the darkness returns, we return." Mara backed away, breath shaking. She whispered, "This is real." Above the chamber, the city screamed again. The lights went out. This time, they didn't come back. A storm of black fog rolled down the streets, swallowing cars, swallowing buildings, swallowing sound. People ran, but the fog didn't chase. It consumed. And where it touched, the world lost color. The sky turned gray. The city turned silent. Mara stood in the chamber and watched as the statues began to crack. Not crumble. Crack, like something inside was breathing. The first statue opened its eyes. Golden light. The second statue lifted its head. The third statue's weapon glowed. And then, all 6 stepped forward. Stone turned into skin. Dust turned into breath. The legends had awakened. Mara fell to her knees in shock. One of the legends, a warrior with a broken crown and a blade of light, looked at her and asked, "How long did we sleep?" Mara whispered, "Hundreds of years." The warrior closed his eyes like it hurt. "And the people?" he asked. Mara looked up, tears in her eyes. "They forgot you," she admitted. "They stopped believing." The warrior nodded slowly. Then he said a sentence that sounded like both sadness and strength. "Belief ain't why we fought. We fought because it was right." The legends stepped out of the vault into a city that no longer recognized them. The streets were dead. The fog rolled like a living ocean. From within the fog, shapes appeared, shadow creatures with empty faces, moving like nightmares. The legends didn't hesitate. A mage raised his hand and drew fire from the air. A hunter loaded arrows that glowed with ancient runes. A guardian slammed his shield into the ground, creating a wave of light that pushed the fog back. The city watched from windows, shocked. People whispered, "Who are they? Are they real? Are they angels?" But the legends weren't angels. They were exhausted humans who once chose to become weapons. And the darkness remembered them. The fog thickened. A voice rose from within it, speaking across every street at once. "You sealed me, and left me to starve." The legend stopped. The warrior stepped forward and shouted into the fog, "We sealed you because you devour worlds." The voice laughed, "And you built a world above me." The ground shook. Cracks ran through the streets like veins. And from the center of the city, an ancient tower that didn't exist yesterday rose out of the earth. Black stone, covered in symbols, dripping shadow. Mara stared in horror. That tower wasn't there. The warrior's face went pale. "Because it wasn't allowed to be," he whispered. The darkness was rebuilding its home. The legends rushed toward the tower, fighting through shadow creatures. The streets became a battlefield of light and darkness. And as they reached the tower entrance, Mara saw something inside. A door, and behind it, a heart. A pulsating black core beating like a living nightmare. The mage whispered, "That's the source." The warrior nodded. "If we destroy it, the darkness dies," he said. Mara's voice trembled. "And if you fail?" The warrior looked at her with the calm of someone who already accepted the worst. "Then the city becomes its body." They entered the tower. Inside felt colder than death. Walls whispered their names like they were being remembered by something hungry. At the center was the core, and beside the core, a chained figure. A human silhouette, barely alive, tied in shadow. Mara's eyes widened. "That's a person." The darkness spoke again, amused. "A host." The warrior froze, because the host was someone the city would never sacrifice. A child, a small boy, still breathing, still alive. The legends stared at the child. Destroying the core would kill him. Saving him would let the darkness live. Mara cried, "We can't kill him." The warrior clenched his jaw. The legends argued in silence, eyes heavy with the same question. How do you defeat evil without becoming evil? Then the guardian stepped forward. He removed his helmet. And for the first time, Mara saw his face. It looked familiar. Too familiar. Mara whispered, You look like," the guardian smiled sadly. "I was the first host," he admitted. Mara froze. The guardian touched the chains and said calmly, "This darkness can be destroyed by force, only by replacing the lock." The warrior shook his head. "No, not again." The guardian nodded. "Yes," he said. "Again." He turned to Mara. "Tell the city something," he whispered. "Tell them the legends were real, but they were never meant to be worshipped." Mara cried, "What do you mean?" The guardian placed his hand on the core, and he looked at the warrior, voice quiet but powerful. "Tell them to protect each other, so we don't have to return." Then he stepped into the core. The tower screamed. The darkness roared. The legends tried to pull him back, but it was too late. Light exploded through the tower like a sunrise breaking a nightmare. The fog outside the city stopped moving. The shadow creatures turned to dust. The sky regained color. The city lights returned. The tower cracked and collapsed into the earth like it was never there. And when the light faded, only one thing remained on the ground, the guardian's helmet. The warrior picked it up, breathing hard, eyes filled with pain. Mara whispered, "He saved us." The warrior nodded slowly. "And he paid the price again." The legends turned to leave. Mara asked, "Where will you go?" The warrior looked back one last time. "We go back to sleep," he said, "because legends aren't meant to rule the world." Then he pointed to the sunrise. "Humans are." And as the city watched, the legends faded, turning into stone once more inside the vault. The door closed. The carvings dimmed. The world moved on. But the city never forgot again. And on the rebuilt streets of Lumenfall, a new rule was written in giant letters. The light is ours to keep.